Okay, we're live. Baruch haba, everybody. It's good to be back. The final shiur before Hashana Hadasha, before the new year. It should give us some chizuk to begin the next year fresh. Yirtzeh Hashem, with new learning, good learning, and many people listening online and here. Baruch Hashem, Yirtzeh Hashem. We are on page 197 in the Shuba Mirabanan book, volume number 8. I think it could be one book is different. You also 197? 195. So 195 or 197. Another interesting chapter here, chapter 6. We're going to speak about various halachot today about the talit and talit katan. We're going to start off by saying how to wrap your talit. Say the beracha, what do you do? How's it properly? So it's not so pashut because there's a big machloket as we're going to see. So the first source that we have is the Tur and the Bet Yosef. The Tur writes, "Umiyad achan netilat yadav." Right after a person washes his hands, yita'atef besisit me'omed. He has to stand while he is wrapping the sisit. He has to be standing. Right? So it's not enough that you can't just sit. Over here. All ready for you, buddy. He has to be doing standing. Says the Bet Yosef, "Betama." The reason is mishum the Gemar lachem misfirat haomer. Unbelievable hidush here. Says the Bet Yosef. Why do we stand? Because it says, with regard to tzitzit, the word lachem. And it also says by Sfirat HaOmer, usfartem lachem. The word lachem, so gzera shava. And uktiv be bakama. And by Sfirat HaOmer, it says the words bakama, which we're going to see later is expounded to be reread as bekoma, standing. Kama actually means grain and stalks. Okay? So perush bekoma. So we're standing. So we see here, the Gzera Shava, Sfirat HaOmer we have to do while standing. And the same word lachem is used by Sfirat HaOmer and tzitzit. So too, I have to stand when I put on my talit. Alright? Says the Rosh, V'chi mevarchim me'omed, Etan Ravanan, Bakamat achel lispor. To the standing grain, al tikre bakama ela bekoma. Don't read it as standing grain, but read it as standing up. So that's the Rosh. And the Shulchan Aruch codifies this in Siman Het. Yitatef v'sisit vivarech me'omed. The person should put on the sisit and recite the bracha while standing. Mishnah Berurah says vehu rak lechatechila. This, however, is only lechatechila. Primarily, the b'diavad yasa b'shtehen v'chol gavne. But b'diavad, a person can put on the sisit and talit in any, even if he's sitting down, it's not a problem. So, for example, if a guy was sick or he's not well, okay, it doesn't have to be standing b'diavad. Now,
which lachem are we referring to? By lachem tzitzit or the resu lachem tzitzit?
Yeah.
The resu lachem tzitzit. Lachem tzitzit, but that's very not the same. Or lachem lokim.
In Pasuk Tet. What's Pasuk Tet?
I wouldn't say over here.
Pasuk Tet? Offhand, Pasuk Tet. Let me open up over here one sec. Pasuk Tet.
Okay, but that's
1 second.
That must be lots of places that says lachem.
So they're giving me a Bamidbar 59. That's the wrong one.
Bamidbar, has to be Parshat.
Yeah, but Bamidbar 59. So that's the wrong source. 59 is not correct. I don't know if it's 69.
Well, it either has to be Shlach L'cha.
Yeah, that 59 is in Shlach. Maybe the pasuk was.
Or it has to be maybe Devarim, that's the one, but it's not, it doesn't say,
V'aya lachem netzitzit.
that the one that it's referring to?
Yeah, well, that's the only lachem.
No, I know, but there's also lahem.
No, so it's a lachem. If you're going to do gzera shava, same one. Ve'ya lachem v'sisi. So that's the gzera shava.
What are you doing with hula? You have to stand up.
Ukachtem lachem bayom harishon.
I'm saying every time there's lahem, that's a rule now?
Lemaaseh, that's a gzera shava. But again, it's not, that's how we do it. We stand up when we shake the lulav.
Right, okay.
Just a quick question.
Yes?
The first point, to say that right after you take the dime, you put on your tzitzit here, but that's not what we do. We do the bracha first.
So it could be that this netilat yadayim could be referring to, no, it could be the one for tefillah, which we spoke about when coming to shul. I think back then a lot of people just put on their talit and tefillin right when they woke up. Now, Achenu Ashkenazim, that's what they do. Achenu Ashkenazim, they put on their talit and tefillin first. Yeah, and then they say Birkot HaShachar in the shul, right? They have their talit and tefillin on, and then they put on, that's when they say Birkot HaShachar. So Sfardim are always accustomed to do it differently. Okay. So now, let's talk about the concept of atifa. Because the bracha that we say when we wrap our talit is lehit'atef besisit. So lehit'atef means wrapping. So what does this mean, wrapping? Do I wrap my body? Do I wrap my head? So we have a machloket here between the various rishonim. Says the Tur on the top of 199, V'seder atifato, Pirshu ha'geonim, ka'atifat Ishmaelim. When you wrap the talit, you have to wrap it like the Ishmaelites, the Arabs, how they wrap. Shehi atifa gmura, which is a complete wrapping. Ubal ha'itur, the Baal Itur argues with the Geonim. Katav, de lo ba'inan kulahai. No, you don't need that much. Ela kedech bnei adam shemitkasin biksutan ve'oskin b'mlachtan. People just how they cover themselves with clothes and go about their business. Back then, that's used to wear this longer garments. That's good enough. Sometimes you have your head covered. Sometimes you don't. Now, the basis of this machloket is brought down in the Bet Yosef, and he says, it seems that the reason why the Geonim say that you have to wrap like Ishmaelim, since we say the bracha leitatef, kedeita beperek batra de tosefta de brachot, the last chapter of the tosefta brachot, al ma'ituf ba'inan, it shows you that you need an actual atifa. Ubeperek elu megalchin, and in the chapter of elu megalchin, which is the end of Moed Katan, which speaks about mourning, avelut. Amar Shmuel says, kol atifa she'ena katifat ha'ishmaelim en atifa. Shmuel says that if you're not wrapping yourself like the Arabs do, that's not considered wrapping. So, Machvei Rav Nachman ad govei dikna. Rav Nachman would cover up almost his entire face, only leaving the center of his face exposed when he wrapped himself. So that is the Shita v'Geonim. Nireh, it seems, Shetamo, the other opinion, the Baal Haitur, Medida Perek Elu Megalchin, the Rav Paligale di Shmuel, is because Rav argues on Shmuel. Shmuel says that you have to wrap yourself like the Ishmaelim. Rav argues. Rav holds that if you wrap your head, even if it's not as much as the Arabs do, then it's still considered a wrapping. And we hold that with regards to matters of prohibition, the halacha is in accordance with Rav against Shmuel. So he continues on the next page. That the reason why the Itur says you don't have to cover your head, because that Gemara was only in reference to Avelut. When you're mourning, you have to go and cover your head like that. Aval gabe tzitzit, with regards to tzitzit, shatorah chiva oto biksut shadam mitkaseh, where the Torah is only mandating you covering yourself with a garment you normally cover yourself with. Kachi achiyuv. That's how the chiyuv is. V'neimar sh'lishon litatev l'shon kisui. Just need to wrap yourself generally. It's not necessarily a wrapping like the Ishmaelim. Okay? So we have two major opinions. You have the Geonim that say you have to wrap yourself like the Ishmaelim. You have the Baal Haitur who says you have to wrap just like normally wrap yourself. Okay? How does the Shulchan Aruch posek? In source number 9, Seder atifato kederech bnei adam shemitkasim biksutam ve'oskim bimlachtam. So he holds like the second opinion, not like the one that says you have to wrap like the Arabs. Sometimes you cover your head, sometimes you don't cover your head. But it is proper for someone to cover their head with talit. Okay? So although you don't have to, but it is proper to do so. That's the opinion of the Shulchan Aruch. Says the Mishnah Berurah, he explains the Shulchan Aruch, even though the blessing that you're reciting means leitatef, to wrap, kisui haguf lechudeh habeituf, ve'uikara. Covering your body alone is considered a wrapping. Those travelers who place a talit on when it's folded, those people that put the talit around their neck, that is not good. Because that is not considered, it's not considered aituf. So this is the problem.
About wrapping it around the neck?
Okay, so there seems to be two things here. There's the procedure of actually wrapping after you do the beracha, and then there is how you wear the talit. Okay, how to wear the talit. So right now we're talking about after the beracha, the act of wrapping. Okay, the act of wrapping. There is a separate issue that the talit needs to cover most of your body, okay, and therefore after you wrap it, and therefore people that kind of wrap it around their neck are not doing the right thing, okay, and that's why you have to wear your talit like most people do, just a little bit on the shoulders and covering your thing. But no, what we're referring to now is the actual bracha. After you say the bracha, how to wrap. So according to the Shulchan Aruch, the halacha is you don't have to actually cover your face almost completely like the Ishmaelim, like the Arabs, but you should try to cover your head. Okay? Now, where does the whole this and this come from? We're going to get to that. Okay? We're going to get to that. Okay. Another reason why we cover head, shekisui ze machnia leva adam umvio lidei yirat shamayim. Covering the head brings a person to a fear of heaven. V'katav abach detzarich sheyayeh talit al rosho mitchilat hatfilah ad sofa. So now the Mishnah Berurah is saying, not only do you got to cover your head when you say the bracha, but the Bach writes that even after you finish and you put it down, you should have your talit on your head the whole tefillah. From the beginning, from the moment you put it on, mitchilat hatfilah ad sofa. Ve'al kol panim ya'amod kaf me'utaf lepachot kedei hiluch daled amot. And at least the amount it takes you to walk 4 amot, which is about 3 seconds. Alright? So, you're wrapping, when you do the action of wrapping, and it's covering your head, which like we said is the best thing to do, you should keep it there for at least 3 seconds, as we're going to see, because that fulfills ituf. Mishnah Berurah is adding an extra thing that you should really keep it covering your head throughout the whole tefillah. Okay? Any questions so far? No? Yeah.
Why say lehita tef? It's what you say all mitzvah.
Well, that's the bracha. We're going to see that. We're going to see that later. The bracha that some people do when they put on their talit katan, which Sfaradim don't. But we're gonna see that.
Saying, where's the source of lehita tef? That's the Gemara.
Where's the source of lehita tef?
Yeah, where did that come from?
Why is it different from
Saying he started with the tour, but he didn't bring the Gemara. Like, where do you even get that lehita tef? That from a different way?
No, we didn't speak about lehita tef earlier.
Whoever said that there's an idea?
Well, again, if the purpose of clothing, you're saying why is there a requirement to wrap?
To wear, like tzitzit, we wear. There's no.
Because there needs to be a minimum size of clothing, right? There needs for it to be chayav tzitzit. So actually, that's part we're not going to do today, but skipping that. So to put something on, the way you normally put something on is that you wrap it.
Is that a Gemara? Like he didn't bring that yet. That's what I'm saying. Like where did that? Like Tur talit attack. Then everyone's. So I'm just wondering if that's a Gemara somewhere. Or is that because I guess the Gemara in Moed Katan just brought about mourning, which I don't know what it was.
Yes.
To. But does that have to do with what was the other Gemara?
It didn't quote a Gemara. It didn't quote a Gemara. I'm unaware of a Gemara that does that sources this. The only thing I can think of is this idea of that clothing used to be wrapped. Well, it is wrapped. Everything we wear is technically wrapped in some way or another, right? So if this is a unique garment for the purpose of a mitzvah, then there should be an act of wrapping. That's the only thing I'm thinking about. Okay. Why is there an al mitzvah tzitzit? Because the tzitzit doesn't have probably the size for wrapping big enough to be wrapping. The tzitzit talit katan doesn't have the size enough for wrapping, so it would just be al mitzvah tzitzit, right? Okay. The Torah says in source number 13, "V'derech ha'atifa machzir bet tzitziot lefanav bet tzitziot lecharav." You place 2 tzitzit in front and 2 in the back. Sheyeh mesuvav b'mitzvot, so that you're surrounded by mitzvot. Umchaser roso shelo yeh b'gilui rosh, yivarech litatef b'tzitzit. And you cover your face so that your head is not uncovered, and you say the bracha of litatef b'tzitzit. All right. There's a note here, number 5, that talks about how single Ashkenazim don't wear a talit, and Sfaradim do. But okay. There's also a note here, number 6, that many Sephardic communities did not cover their heads with a talit, which seemed to be often the case in Morocco. Many Moroccan poskim write that it was not the custom in Morocco to cover their heads with a talit throughout tefillah, but it is a very common thing that Ashkenazim do. I do notice that they do cover their heads with a talit. Okay. Now, remember that Shulchan Aruch said that wrapping like a Yishmaeli is not necessary. Comes a Piskei Tshuvot and says, even though that's not the case, it's probably good to do. Minhag Yisrael midorei dorot la'asot atifat Yishmaelim la'achal bracha latalit. The custom for many generations is to do that, like the Yishmaelim. Ubikitvei Arizal isbir, the Arizal writes, Shenachon minhag meod. This is a good custom. Shebazei yotzim shitat hageonim shetzarich atifa gmura v'aynu ka'atifat Yishmaelim, because this fulfills the opinion of the Geonim that says you have to do like the Arabs. Bizman mu'at keshiur hiluch tal amot. For a short time, the amount it takes to walk 4 amot. Achen kvar katvu ha'achronim. Indeed, the achronim have written, la'asot atifat Yishmaelim zo ka'ogen. Dehainu she'achelek ha'elyon shel hatalit mechase rosho u'mitzcho ad lemala me'ainayim. The top part of your talit should cover the top part of your head up until your eyes. Or cover your forehead until your eyes. V'chelek ha'achorei shel hatalit yechase et rov hagav. And the back part of the talit should cover most of the back. Umkabetz lefanav v'dalet knafot. And then you take the 4 corners, umashichan la'achorav, me'al ketefo asmalit, and then you put it over your left shoulder. Umitatef bechelek hatachton shel hatadil lefanav be'ofan shemechase et hachazer u'mala adachotem. And then you wrap yourself with the lower part of the talit so that it covers the chest up to the nose. Nimsa shekol chelek gufo elyon utzadei panav upiv umitzcho mechusim betalit ve'rak ha'einayim megulot. So it turns out that almost all your face except your eyes are covered. And you should keep this way for at least 4 amot, the amount it takes to walk 4 amot. Some people that are accustomed to lower the upper portion to their mouths even have what to rely on. But to completely cover your face when you're wrapping is not something that is good. It is not recommended. The enze atifat Yishmaelim. That's now called atifat Yishmaelim. So that's pretty much exactly what the Piskei Tshuvot said to do, is what we are taught to do is we bring the talit over our heads, okay, and then covering most of our forehead right until their eyes, and then bring up the four corners, and then doing the wrap where only a part of your face is exposed.
But here it seems to be saying that you should be covering your mouth. But I remember learning that you shouldn't cover your mouth.
No, he says there are people that cover their mouths, and they have what to rely on, but he does not say that to do that primarily. Yeah. Now, Shulchan Aruch says, Talitot ktadim shelanu, our tzitzit, okay, she'anu noagim lilbosh, that we wear, af al pi she'en b'hem ituf, even though they have no, you can't wrap with them, yotzim b'hem yedei chovat tzitzit, you still fulfill the mitzvah. V'tov le'aniach oto ad rosho, rochavo lekomato, ulitatef bo. It is best to place it on one's head the long way. I'm not sure I'm trying to envision this. Place it the long way and wrap himself in it. ויעמוד כך מעוטף לפחות כדי הילוך 400 ואחר כך ימשכן מהראשו וילבישנו. It seems that he's talking about like laying it on your head a little bit. This tzitzit.
Like horizontally?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure out. But it's not something that most people do. ואחר כך ימשכן מהראשו וילבישנו. מחסיר שתי ציציות לפניו ושתיים לאחוריו כדי שיהיה מסובב במצוות. 2 strings are in front of him, 2 behind him, so that he's surrounded with mitzvot. So the note over here says, right in the orange box, despite the suggestion of Shulchan Aruch, the common practice today is not to perform atifa when donning the tzitzit. And that is not what people do. People, exactly, meaning they don't do atifa, they just put on the tzitzit. Al talit katan yachol levarech leitatef. On the tzitzit, you are able to say litatef b'tzitzit. Afa pi she'eno mitatef ela lerovsho. Even though you are not actually wrapping, you could say litatef. Says the Rama, v'yesh omrim shemevarchin alav al mitzvah tzitzit ve'en nohagin ve'en leshanot. Ve'chen nohagin ve'en leshanot. The Rama says that's not the bracha that we say. We say the bracha of al mitzvah tzitzit, and he's very strict on this.
Yeah, but can al mitzvah tzitzit cover also? Like, let's say you don't say litatef tzitzit, you say al mitzvah tzitzit, right? And sure, you can't say litatef for your tzitzit because you're not wrapping. But when it's vice versa,
when it's vice versa, it's fine. Meaning, we're going to learn that if you say litatef tzitzit on your talit, it'll cover your tzitzit. So, which kind of brings us back to our previous discussion. Like, it seems that there must be an inyan of atifa somewhere, because the custom of the Sfaradim is not to say al mitzvah tzitzit. Now, what happens if the guy's not wearing a talit that day? In that situation, I would probably say al mitzvah tzitzit, because if you know you're going to say put on a talit, then we don't say al mitzvah tzitzit.
Really?
No.
Why, during the shachar, you
no,
don't say it?
we don't say it.
What do we do let's say Tisha B'Av?
Do you know that?
Well, we're going to put on talit afterwards.
No, but that's at the end of the day.
So I know. So at the end of the day.
You think so? That's okay?
Yeah. That's exactly it.
So Mamash, you just skip it in the Berkat HaShachar?
Yeah. That is the way. That is how the Sfaradim are noagim. We're going to see Yakucho said very soon.
I heard if you don't wear tzitzit, then you don't wear tzitzit, you can't make a bracha on a talit. Or you can't wear a talit or something like that.
That sounds very strict, though.
No, I don't see why one's connected to the other. You know, they're individual mitzvot. Like what I'm saying here now is that it seems that the atifa is the main part of the mitzvah. That's why we're using that bracha to cover the mitzvah tzitzit, right?
But you can't say mitzvah tzitzit, like when you put on the talit.
Ashkenazim do.
Oh, they do?
Ashkenazim do.
Oh,
when you put on the talit?
yeah.
No, it's litatef.
Only litatef?
Litatef, yeah. That's a bracha.
So I just said never heard of it before. Like if I'm not,
I never heard of it.
all my tzitzit are in the wash. Unfortunately, I don't have tzitzit to wear. There's no issue putting a talit.
431.
That's your talit. That's your talit. Okay. Shulchan Aruch then says, "Im lovesh talit katan be'od she'en yadav nekiot." If a person puts on the talit, the tzitzit, when his hands are not clean, yilveshenu belo bracha. He should wear it without a blessing. U'ksheitov yadav, when he washes his hands, yimashmesh b'tzitzit vivarech alav, then he should take the tzitzit, hold them, and say the bracha. Or if he wears a different talit, Yevarech alav v'chaven liftor gam et zeh. Right? So even Shulchan Aruch talking about, you're going to wear another better talit gadol. Okay? You can recite a bracha on the talit gadol, have in mind to exempt the talit katan, then tzarich lemashpesh b'tzitzit shel rishon, and you don't need to hold even the tzitzit from the first one. Okay. Then, good. So that covers donning the tzitzit. The next section is actually a very practical one. With regards to the bracha you say on tzitzit, what happens if you take off your talit, you go to the bathroom, it falls off, okay? So contrary to what a lot of people, think, there's interesting halachot here that people have to know. So says the Shulchan Aruch, once you have your tzitzit and you're ready to put it on, you have to do three things before you put it on. You have to separate the strings from one another to make sure that they're kosher. 2. Yechaven beit atfo shivanu Hashem shelitatev bo kejet nizkor kol mitzotav la'asotam. One should have intent that Hashem commanded us to put it on and to perform all the mitzvot. And then kodem yeshevarech, before you say bracha, ya'ayen bechutei asisit imem ksherim. Check the tzitzit strings to make sure they're kosher, kedosh lo yivarech lebatala, so that you don't say a bracha lebatala. So that's one thing we don't want to do. So now, is the reason is because you're not putting on tzitzit, or is the reason for bracha levatala? So Mishnah Berurah tells us that it really is a bracha levatala that's the issue, because you could actually rely that my tzitzit were kosher yesterday, they were kosher today. Why? So why am I checking? Because in case that there is a problem, that I would be reciting a bracha in vain. Even though that there might be a concern that you're wearing a four-corner garment of tzitzit, if one of them is ripped. We still have a chazakah that the tzitzit are kasher. We're only worried about the one of the aseret hadibrot of saying God's name in vain. That's why we're saying, go check the tzitzit, make sure that they're good. Therefore, every morning, check them. Therefore, even when you takes them off later and forgets about it, he doesn't have to go back and check them again. Okay, you put them on an hour later, 2 hours later, we can assume that they're all good. Today it's interesting that today's tzitzit are much better quality than what they had 500-600 years ago. Although, yes, Shulchan Aruch does say to check your tzitzit, and I see a lot of people being machmir to check their tzitzit. It's not machmir, being machmir to check their tzitzit. But the maaseh, the tzitzit today are very good quality. Doesn't mean that periodically you shouldn't check them, because you will find. But especially if you buy tzitzit that are not dakim, you buy them aveh, you buy them thick, chances are they're probably not going to rip on you. Yes.
Sometimes, like, some of the knots unravel, but it's still halakhically, like, right, that's kosher. Like, if you have even one knot or two knots, it'll be fine, no?
That's right.
So
that's right, you just need one knot, right? That's,
So really, like, he's talking about, like, a completely unraveled.
So last week we spoke about cut tzitzit, right? But here, it's just, he's telling you, before you say the bracha, just make sure. But it's an inyan of bracha levatala that we're worried about.
I think I missed this one of the issues.
Yeah.
When we were talking about the silk strings and then the wool, if it's wool or not.
Yeah.
It's been burning me since then to ask the question. These tzitzit, the ones that
t-shirt tzitzit.
Well, there's no sleeve, right?
Yeah,
like
they're fine.
With the four corners. Those are good.
Those are good. The ones that we said are really not good are the mesh ones.
Right.
Those ones are very problematic. But the other ones are fine.
And then what about the ones that you wear? So it's not the wool, but it's cotton, I think, if I'm not mistaken. You have to wear an undershirt underneath, correct? You can't wear it directly on your skin. Is there something there?
So I don't know if we're going to get to that in this book. The issue is that the tzitzit, the strings themselves, not the garment, the tzitzit themselves should not be touching parts of your body that are normally covered. Right? So if that's the case, then you probably should wear an undershirt underneath. But not everybody. Yeah, but not everybody holds of that.
No, but the tzitzit are not necessarily touching
That's what I'm saying. The strings part. Strings part are usually,
But then it touches your leg if you either way, even if you're wearing a t-shirt.
Yeah.
The strings are in your pants.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So that's what I'm saying. That I think that's fine. I don't think it's an issue. I think there's other issues.
So you know the ones that I'm talking about that you put over your head also.
Yeah.
There's no arms, sleeves, nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
Those ones that I thought you can't wear them directly on your body. You have to wear a shirt underneath.
What's
Same thing as wool tzitzit. A wool tzitzit, can you put it directly
what's
on your body?
what's the difference between that and one and the other?
I don't know.
Just because one has a little sleeve and the other one doesn't have a sleeve?
Yeah, maybe. I was always under the impression that's what they teach me.
Yeah, sometimes they teach you things that don't have any sources. You know? And you want to listen. There might be a posting that says that. I don't see it. Like Amram says. People are not going to put a wool on their body because of the itching. That's why they're going to put an undershirt underneath a wool tzitzit.
So there's no official ruling though.
No, because how does it make sense? Like Amram said, you have even if you put an undershirt underneath your tzitzit are still going to touch other parts of your body, right? I think maybe where it came from is maybe people didn't wear any undergarments, and in that situation, yes, you don't want to have your tzitzit as the bottom layer of your of everything that you're wearing.
So, but then to prevent it touching, like you said, then you just leave the strings out, right? That's why you leave
Maybe that's not the reason why they leave the strings out, but you definitely would avoid that problem if you leave the strings out. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. But even the Shulchan Aruch here says, go back to where we are. He says, "Va'afilu baboker," we're top page 206. Even in the morning, look at this. The amount of time it's going to take you to check your tzitzit, you're going to miss Amidah with the tzibur. Or once called the Torah, or he can wear his talit without inspection. Okay, you see over here. Don't worry. You call you up for a Torah, he goes, I got to check my tzitzit. Don't.
5 a.m.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, now, al talit chadasha mevarchim birkat sheheyanu. Yakut Yosef says, you say sheheyanu on a new talit, uvarchim kodem leitatef besisit. First you say leitatef, achar kach birkat sheheyanu. Ve'en bazeh chashash hefsek. It's not a interruption. V'chen ha-minhag. Ulam ha'oseh sisiyot chadashot letalit yeshana, em mevarech sheheyanu. If you tie and attach new strings to an old talit, you don't say sheheyanu, because you're saying sheheyanu the garment. That's what you're saying it on. יש אומרים דווקא אם קנה טלית גדול מברך שהחיינו, אבל הטלית קטן אינו מברך שהחיינו, אפילו אם הטלית עשוי מבד טוב. Even if you buy a beautiful tzitzit garment, you don't say שהחיינו.
My issue is you're saying that it's because we're saying the bracha on the
Yeah.
garment, but isn't the whole point the tzitzit, the strings itself? That's what we're thinking about. So why wouldn't they say shehiyanu?
Why you're not saying on the mitzvah?
You're doing on the chefcha.
You're saying on the
Because you did a mitzvah. So the first time you might, even first of all, there's a big discussion about, there's certain mitzvot that, even tefillin, right? You don't say shehiyanu when you put on tefillin for the first time. There's a big machlokes to say shehiyanu on certain mitzvot that take place that are all day mitzvot. So that's why you're not doing it on the mitzvah; you're doing it on the garment. So that's why Chatan, he buys a new talit. We make him do shehiyanu underneath the chuppah for that because it's a garment, not on the.
Right.
Okay, fine. Now, what happens if you remove your talit temporarily? It says the Torah in 21. It says the Torah. If someone removed his talit and did not intend to put it on again, when he puts it on again, he has to say a bracha. So, but if he wanted to put it on right away, for example, he went to the bathroom, he says, Torah says, I'm not sure. You take off your talit to go to the bathroom, you're going to put it on in 5 minutes. He goes, I'm not sure whether to say a bracha or not. Why? You could say, since the whole Torah is derived from tefillin, Shememashmesh behu mevarech. And for tefillin, every time you touch them, you say the bracha. Meaning, if you move your tefillin from place to place, you have to say the bracha. So to here, you go to the bathroom, you take it off, you put it back on, you got to say a bracha again. But on the other hand, yesh lomar the shaniyata. Maybe the tefillin is different. Shezazu bimkoman. It moved. The tefillin moved from its place. You didn't know that they weren't in the right place. But if you actually moved your tefillin like this, okay, you wouldn't have to say na bracha. And that's how I'm inclined to accept this. And that's how the Shulchan Aruch says. If one removed his talit, even if he intended to wear it immediately thereafter. Sorry, the Shulchan Aruch argues with the Torah. Shulchan Aruch is being very machmir here. Then tzarich levarech she'asor litatef bo. So Shulchan Aruch says, you go to the bathroom, you have to say na bracha again. And none of us do this. None of us do this, right? You take off your talit, you go to the bathroom, you put it on, you just put it on. Shulchan Aruch says you're taking it off even when, and you know you're going to put it back on. You have to say na bracha. Says the Rama, v'yesh omrim de'em mevarchim. Rama says no, we don't. Imayad dato lachzor litatef bo. V'yesh omrim davka keshinshar alav talit katan ve'achi noagin. And some say, the Rama says that's assuming that you're wearing a tzitzit underneath. In that situation, you wouldn't do it. And the Yakut Yosef also codifies like that. That he goes against Shulchan Aruch here in this situation. Safek brachot la'akel afilu neged maran. Let's just read inside. Someone who takes off his talit with intention to put it back on. If it's within half an hour, and you don't have to say another bracha. Now, but if he wanted to put it back on, and by the time he put it back on was more than half an hour, then you have to say another bracha. Even if he removes his talit for no specific purpose. You don't have to say another bracha if you didn't plan to wear it again immediately.
Isn't that contradictory though?
No, because one you had intent to put it on, one you didn't have intent to put it on.
One you had intent on punishing you because you didn't.
You had intent to put it on, you waited too long, so you can punish it. Yeah, exactly. Nun Gimel, Halacha Nun Gimel, which is in source 23, says that if you remove your talit and fold it into the talit bag, and you weren't planning it, now you decide to wear it again, in that situation you have to say another bracha. Okay? But in Nun Dalet he says, if you're lending your talit to someone who's going on aliyah, or to do birkat kohanim, and then you get it back, in that situation you don't have to say a bracha again. Yeah.
The Ashkenazis have a minhag of putting a talit when they're chazayim.
Yes.
So does he?
So we're going to talk about that. One of the I just want to open it up here because one of the one of the big iyun things over here is saying a bracha on a talit she'ula, on a borrowed talit. So the idea, the psak halacha is you don't say a bracha on a borrowed talit. So therefore, the guy who's getting a talit because he needs to get an aliyah la Torah, he's not saying a bracha on that talit. He's just putting it on and he's going. Okay, so that's the same thing with the chazan in the Ashkenazi shuls. They're not saying a bracha on the talit that they put on because it's not theirs.
Is it the whole point to say the bracha, or it's just
No, it's just a minhag. The Shaliach Tzibur wears a talit, so they wear it.
But like when someone comes up, right? So let's say they wear it. Like there's no mitzvah. Is there a mitzvah behind putting it on, or no? Let's say I show up to shul, I don't have my talit, and I can borrow my friend's talit. I take it from him, I don't say a bracha. If I take it for just 2 minutes, does that mean I did the mitzvah?
No, that's true. If you're wearing it for the purpose of tefillah, that you're fulfilling, then you probably have to say, which is the big question about a shul talit, right? It's not yours. I'm borrowing it from the shul,
Yeah.
right?
What about lulav?
It says lachen. That's what I'm saying. So that's the. We'll talk about that. That's the end of the shiur today. Okay. End of the shiur. We'll summarize the big essay that comes up. Okay. So one last piece here on 209 or 207 in your book. What happened when the talit falls off? So until now we talked about the talit. You had to go to the bathroom. You knowingly took off your talit. Im nafla talito shelo b'nitkaven. If one talit fell off unintentionally, vechozer umitadef, and he puts it on again, tzarich levarech. He has to say another bracha. Ve'u shenafla kula. This applies if it fell off entirely. Aval im lo nafla kula. If it didn't, afal pi shenafla ruba, eno tzarich levarech. Even if most of it fell off, he does not have to recite a bracha. And Mishnah Berurah also says this. Afilu im lofso v'im nafal mimenu be'emtza tfilat yudchet. Meaning he was praying Amidah and his talit fell off in the middle of Amidah. Ve'chziru acherim alav k'shisayem tfilat shmona esrei yemashmesh be'sisit vivarech. Someone put it back on him. When he finishes Amidah, he should hold the sisit and say a bracha. However, Yakut Yosef does not hold like this. Yakut Yosef says, "Im nafla talito me'alav, afilu im nafla legamre." If his talit fell off, even if it fell off entirely, chozer mitatepa eno tzarich lachzor uvarech. He does not have to say another bracha.
Why is this different than the washroom thing?
Why is it different than what?
The washroom. That you go like, why?
Again, washroom, you're knowingly taking it off. You're intending to put it back on.
Right, so this for sure, like you didn't even
Yeah.
have a summer that you
Yeah.
didn't even say it. Or
Yeah.
I'm saying, why is it? You can see why it's different.
Maybe because there's like a sector in a way, like when you're going to the washroom, you're like completely out of that atmosphere, and you're in the bathroom, you're doing your business, but as opposed to when it falls off, like it's not like you're taking away from your mindset of
Yeah.
it just fell off.
Yeah.
Right? You just put it back on, you're still in the same. Nothing changed so much.
Maybe because you didn't intend for it to come off.
Yeah.
So the fact that you have
And everyone's being consistent.
Shulchan is always consistent.
Say you always say a bracha.
And Yakut Yosef is being consistent in saying we're not posek like the Shulchan Aruch in the case of Safek Brachot. Right?
But then for a chatan, there's no mitzvah of wearing a talit or his chuppah. You know, there's no mitzvah. So why is he saying?
Because the new garment. Why is he saying Leitatef? Why not? Every time if I want to put on talit right now, okay, it's nighttime. But let's if I want to put on talit right now, I have to say bracha.
I'm not so sure.
And then Amitatef, of course. Amitatef.
I don't know about that.
What do we do on a fast day?
But that's because we're praying. That's because we're going to do tefillah.
But mincha on a fast day, which is not generally we don't put.
But you're doing tefillah. You're saying amidah.
But we say bracha mincha. Normally I don't put on talit on mincha on a fast day.
But you're doing a tefillah.
Okay. What is one?
I think it's not so simple if there's no tefillah. I'm not sure, but yes, I like this question. I'm not sure.
We don't wear it in the morning until the afternoon.
Yes, that's correct.
We have our sister katana, and we should make a bracha sister katana. You know what I'm saying? We don't.
But you're going to wear it after. That's what Josh asked. But you're going to wear it afterwards. So I say that it covers you. Listen. I guess you could say a bracha. There's who to rely on to say al mitzvah tzitzit, right? All our Ashkenazi brothers do it. Okay. There's a long essay here, and then we'll conclude. We're going to skip the minimum size of a garment of tzitzit. There's a long essay here on, not the one on 219, the one on reciting a bracha for a borrowed talit or talit belonging to a shul. We can read the one 219 on our own. So basically, I got notes here. Can one recite a bracha on a borrowed talit? So the issue here is ownership versus the obligation in the mitzvah tzitzit. We have the Gemara Masechet Menachot and Chulin that say that for the first 30 days, a borrowed talit requires no tzitzit. I mean, if you borrow a garment, a four-cornered garment, you don't have to put tzitzit on it. But after 30 days, it does require, based on the pasuk says kesutecha, your garment. So it has to be yours. So for the first 30 days, it's not yours. So after 30 days, people assume that the borrowed garment is yours. Now the Rishonim say, we have a different Rishonim here. Tosafot says, you're exempt from tzitzit on a borrowed talit midoraita, no bracha for the first 30 days. If you did say a bracha, you didn't lose anything out. Because why is this the case? Because you require ownership for the performance of the mitzvah. The Ritva argues. The Ritva says, no, the only exemption for 430 days is attaching tzitzit. You're not exempt from wearing tzitzit for 30 days if you don't have something else.
Let's say you buy a poncho as a costume. So then there's no
You're no chiyuv, yes.
no chiyuv. You
No chiyuv.
Where no problem.
Yeah. The borrower can recite the bracha since the mitzvah can be fulfilled without ownership according to the mitzvah. Rabbeinu Yechiel says not obligated to say a bracha but permitted if desired. And the Rosh brings two approaches, though they seem contradictory. In Chulin, he writes that ownership is required. In Yechot Tzitzit, he says that borrowed talit with tzitzit obligates a bracha immediately. Okay? There are different later opinions over here. Halacha lemaseh, we'll just go quickly. According to Mishnah Berurah, if one borrows a talit to get an aliyah to be a chazan, there's no bracha because it's not for a mitzvah purpose. So this kind of supports what you guys said for the mitzvah. Borrowing a shul talit should recite a bracha because because the shul purchased the talitot for communal use. Okay? And therefore it's not considered like owned by the shul, it's owned by the community. And therefore you can use it. And but the Piskei Teshuvot does quote Rav Shlomo Zalman and the Chazon Ish that says the common practice is not to say a bracha on a shul talit.
So since we have 21 of them here, those donated already, I think most people say a bracha.
Most people say a bracha, yes. Most people say a bracha. I don't think there's a problem saying a bracha. I don't think there's a problem saying a bracha. We'll end with page 215, something deep, a deep thought, and then we'll conclude a machshava piece from Rav Shimon Schwab. I'll read it I'll read it inside for those listening online. The idea of clothing is a reflection of the idea that there is more to man than just animal. Mankind's supremacy over animals lies in his ability to control his animalistic nature. While a human body functions much like those animals, with all its desires and urges, he has a unique ability to control them. For example, man can choose to fast even when food is available, whereas an animal is incapable of making such a choice. He even has the ability to elevate and sanctify his physical urges. However, as far as the Jewish people is concerned, a person's ability to subdue his animal nature grows and flowers into an even higher moral calling, that of acceptance of the mitzvot of God, where moral decency, with which all humanity is charged, ends, and the corners of their garments, there the specifically Jewish mandate begins. The Torah presupposes the highest form of decency and dignity. We as a Jewish people are to make extensions of our clothing to symbolize our special mandate. So when we look at tzitzit, we are reminded that our membership in the Jewish nation through the acceptance of the mitzvot extends our humanity to a higher moral calling. Thought that was page 215 or 213 in your book. I thought that was a nice piece.
Very nice.
Do we talk about wearing only a white talit versus black?
I spoke about that, about the stripes in the talit. I spoke about that. And the Sudah Shishit is zecher to the techelet. The blue or the black was like really a dark blue. That's how it came. And the Sfaradim more generally wear white.
But there are people that have different colors. Purple.
Yeah. Everything. As long as four corner, it really could be. Yeah, it really could be anything. Speaking of techelet, that's going to be the subject of our next shiur. Bezrat Hashem.
I'm very excited.
All right, that's going to be a big one. Can't wait to learn that one. It's going to be after the holidays in Mirza Hashem. Wishing everybody here Shana Tova, Chag Sameach, Ketiva v'Chatima Tova. We should be inscribed in the book of life, Parnasa Tova, B'Shefa, and growing in our Yirat Shamayim and performance of mitzvot. Have a great evening.